All right, Anthony, well, welcome back. How are you feeling this fight week?
I feel good. Um, yeah, I feel pretty good. Weight's good. I'm in shape. I don't know. Fight week feels good, so I'm happy to be back.
Can you talk to us a little bit about how this fight came about?
Yeah, so when he was supposed to fight, when Khalil was supposed to fight Dawkins the first time, I think Dawkins got hurt, and they called me initially. Then I don't remember where that fight was, but where was it? Vancouver. Maybe that makes sense. Anyways, when Dawkins fell out, they called me to fight Khalil on short notice then, and then I don't know whether it was Khalil or the UFC decided to not put me in short notice and then push that Dawkins fight back. So that didn't happen the first time, and then I've been looking for a fight. I was trying to fight in January, and they told me to keep an eye on the Rountree Osmont fight, and that I would probably fight the winner. So I already was kind of expecting that it was probably going to be Khalil. And then they said that Osmont was out. They wanted me to fight him in Austin, but there was like 6 days or something like that. It was really short notice, and I said I would take the fight, but I couldn't make 205 that fast. So I asked for a catch weight, and everyone was good with the catch weight, but Dana isn't a huge fan of catch weights. So he asked if I would make 205 this weekend, so gave me an extra week to make the weight class. I said, yeah.
So it sounds like there wasn't any hesitation when the fight was approached.
No, I don't. If I'm healthy and not coming off an injury or something like that, I'll always fight.
Bisping said that you took this fight because you're daring to be great. Do you feel like that had any play in the decision?
Maybe. I love fighting, and I want to continue to fight my way towards a title fight, and doing things like this puts you in great positions to do that. Also, sometimes you just want to feel alive. I think that Volkanovski did a really good job of explaining like fighters' mindsets at the highest level. Like if you're not fighting and you're not have a goal or a target in front of you, you kind of spin your wheels a little bit, and you kind of, I don't know, even if things are going really well in your life, you just feel like they're not. And I think I was starting to get to that point where I was just kind of losing it a little bit, and I don't know. I just feel good. I like the matchup, and I don't know. I like doing crazy shit, and taking a fight with Khalil Rountree on like 10 days' notice is pretty crazy.
How do you see the fight going?
I like Khalil's style, actually. As weird as it sounds, I'm kind of disappointed he's not fighting Osmont because that's a really good fight. Two really fast strikers. Both of them are they fight really well from the southpaw stance. Khalil's crazy powerful, crazy explosive. I'm a fan of his game. But I know he's on a 4-fight winning streak and he's feeling himself, but not all 4-fight winning streaks are created equal. There's some of those guys he's supposed to beat. With all due respect, I'm not trying to get in some dust up with Khalil, but I thought that he lost the Dustin Jacoby fight. I'd probably say a lot of people would. It was probably 50-50. It was really close. Yeah, I like the matchup. I think that I have a clear advantage on the ground. I don't think that's a secret. He's hard to take down. That's also not a secret. If I stand in front of him, he's gonna tattoo me. So I think it's fairly straightforward. I don't think there's a lot of secrets going into this one.
And I was wondering if I could just ask you a couple current event questions.
Yeah.
Ian Garry, everyone's talking about Ian Garry right now. What's your opinion about Ian Garry and maybe the rumors that he's not behaving himself in several gyms?
I think that I'm going to tiptoe around this one because I think at one point in time we've all kind of been Ian Garry. I think that, he's young and he's got so much popularity and so many fans and there's so many eyes on him that maybe a lot of us did maybe some of the shit that Ian Garry has done or is doing, and it just wasn't highlighted as much as Ian Garry maybe. I'm not a huge fan of the bringing cameras into the gym and like he creates this illusion maybe that he's larger than he is. But I get it. Like I understand that he's trying to do really great things and he believes in himself and I never ever speak on anybody's personal life publicly. It's kind of weird, but like that's their lives. You know what I mean? They can do whatever they want, and he'll figure it out one way or the other. Anytime I've been around him, he's been nothing but respectful to me. His wife has been nothing but kind when I'm around. Ian and I have the same manager, so we do find ourselves in the same places often. I wouldn't say we're friends or hang out, but every interaction I've ever had with him is positive. I will say, though, the one thing that I will be very strong about with Ian Garry is the Neil Magny thing. Really fucking bothers me. But I've known Neil, I've 15 years, like a large portion of my career. I've never seen Neil do anything that I would speak out against. I've never heard of a bad story about Neil Magny. So the whole thing with the kids and it's one thing to create some drama and create some buzz around a fight, but not at the expense of the reputation of someone that's as good of a man as Neil Magny. That's the one kind of strong opinion I have on it. But other than that, I've had great experiences with him.
Thoughts on Alex winning the title?
I'm happy for him. I mean, just because I want to beat someone up and I want to take the title off him doesn't mean that I can't be impressed or happy with what he does. What's he got, seven UFC fights? He's beat 3 champions. That's crazy. A champion in 2 different divisions. I thought that it would go similar to that. He's so tough on his feet, and he's physically he's so imposing. I think everything Alex is doing is great. I'd just like to take it from him, but I think both those things can be true at the same time.
Last one for me, the most important one. As a Chiefs fan, I got to know, what do you think of the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift? Is it real?
I think it's real. Listen, I'm a hardcore Chiefs fan, so as long as he's performing, he can do whatever he wants. I think at the end of the day, Travis Kelce's been in the NFL forever, and he's done it all. So I hope that this is the dad in me speaking here. I hope that if football isn't the most important thing in his life anymore, if it's seems like he's a little bit distracted, I'm happy for that. I wouldn't be mad if Travis Kelce went and retired and was Taylor Swift's biggest cheerleader on the road. I think that'd be cool. But yeah, I think it's real. I think it's cool. I think it's a wild story, especially him reaching out randomly through the media and slipping his phone number, and he shot his shot for all of us losers. It's kind of cool. I dig it. Thank you.
Do they show her too much on the games though?
Okay, so I go to all the home games. So you never see anything Taylor Swift at the home games. It's only on TV. So when you watch it on the TV, it does get a little irritating. You want to see the replay of the touchdown, but it's really Taylor Swift drunk, going crazy. I kind of rather see the replay, but maybe a little bit.
I know you want that title more than anything else, but to be able to take it off Alex, would that be a nice little extra sweetener for you?
I think it would mean more. I think that since Jon left, it's the title's been kind of playing hot potato a little bit, and really all I've ever wanted is my journey to be recognized, So I think taking it off of Alex would validate me. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody could really say anything about that. I think that people would have to respect that. I think it's a tall task. I think it's a really tough fight, and that means something as well. I think that would mean a lot to me.
You mentioned Jon Jones. It just came into my mind. I'm curious what your take is on the whole, should he have the title? Should he be stripped of the title and then just fight Stipe for a legacy belt? What's your sort of position on that?
Guys, you all know how I feel about Jon Jones, and I hate when you guys ask me questions where I have to say nice things about him. Jon Jones can do whatever the fuck he wants, really. He's earned that. He's not been known as a guy that pulls out of fights. He's never, for whatever anybody says about him, he's never strayed from a challenge. He's always taken on the next best guy. And I think in terms of him and Stipe, I think both those guys should be able to do whatever they want. I think they've earned it. I think that they deserve it. And do we really want to miss another super fight? How long did we talk about Anderson Silva and GSP and Anderson and Jon Jones and Habib and whoever? You know what I mean? We've done this back and forth. We want all these super fights, and now we have the opportunity for one, and everyone's calling for Jon to get stripped of his title. Let's not fuck this one up. let's just let him heal up. Let's let it, and I know it makes absolutely no sense for, there to be an interim champion and Jon to defend against someone who's not. But I mean, we're not like other sports. I think we can kind of change the rules sometimes and just give the fans and the people what they want.
Special cases for special people, basically.
I think so. Yeah, I agree with that.
He opened up as a kind of a big underdog, and he's like a minus 250 favorite over.
Damn.
Is that kinda,
nice?
Is that kind of crazy to you?
No, man, it's par for the course these days. Like, I mean, if you go back and you look at his last couple fights, he looks like an absolute savage. He's stomping people, and his finishes are so brutal. Like, it's easy to. I get it.
Did Dustin give you any tips on to fight Khalil?
Oh yeah. There's been a lot of people who give me a lot of tips about fighting Khalil. I don't know what's up with that, but I always thought he was fairly liked. But a lot of people have given me lots of tips on Khalil. But yeah, Dustin was in there with him for a long time. Again, I think Dustin won that fight, but it was really, really close. I think Dustin made that fight harder than he needed to. And both of them are very good at what they do, and both of them were very content doing what they're comfortable doing. It's kind of standing in the middle, stay in front of each other, and play that game of kind of be a sniper and play darts. And Khalil was just was a little bit ahead. But I can't do what Dustin Jacoby does. That guy's really special in terms of his striking. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't fight Khalil the way that Dustin did.
Like you said, the division's kind of like in a weird spot. There's no clear next opponent other than Jamal.
Man, I'm trying.
Right.
I'm trying, bro.
But I mean, so Jamal says he's going to come back, but torn Achilles, who knows when he's going to really come back. But there's a shot you go out there, you do what you do to Khalil. Alex might just call your name, right? So I mean, are you kind of looking at this fight like you win this fight dominantly? Alex calls your name, you're fighting for the title next.
I just think I just need to not give him any other option. I know champions always want to feel like they make all the decisions, but if there is no clear contender and I go in there and I look really good and put myself in a position where people start asking for it, then that's the fight. But we got to hurry up and do it quick because we got Ankalaev and Johnny Walker fighting and then Rakic and Blachowicz. Like, let's do it quick, and then hopefully they just want to sign it really fast before those guys fight.
This is a random one. What was the thought process of getting that dream catcher on your back?
So my wife is Native, and so my kids are part Native, and they're really, really in tune with their culture. So Christmas and holidays, and like they're burning sage. We go to powwows all summer long, and my mom was always really big into dream catchers, and so they were all over our house. They were everywhere. Every room had several dream catchers in it. Depending on who you ask, dream catchers are supposed to, let the dreams through and catch the nightmares, or catch the nightmares and let the dream. You know what I mean? It depends on who you ask, but that's kind of the idea. I'm just a dream chaser and living this wild and crazy life.
Thanks, man.
Mm-hmm.
I know to take yourself out of it, to put you back into like a fight analyst role. Just one last one going on to Alex. When you look at his skill set, does he have the skill set to be able to stay a champion when you look at the guys that are right up there in the rankings?
Well, there's a couple guys that are going to give him problems for sure. I think Ankalaev stands out. That's for Alex's style. That's a really tough one. Is he beatable? For sure. Like Alex has got this unique ability to kind of make people fight differently. Some of it is the fear and his power and stuff like that. So I think Ankalaev is a really tough matchup. I think I'm a tough matchup, just my style. He's got a lot of power in tight, but I do a good job of making people uncomfortable. I think if I could get a takedown, if I could get him to a position like Jan Blachowicz, I promise I wouldn't be on his back for 5 minutes without a finish. And Blachowicz is a great grappler. He's just not a huge submission threat all the time. But he does let people get him into some weird positions, so I think I could take advantage of some of those. I do think Ankalaev's a really tough matchup, though. But for his style, there's not a whole shit ton of real powerful wrestlers and guys that are going to grind on him. So he definitely has the ability to hold on to it for a bit. Absolutely.
And I know you said jumping him into this fight, you wanted to stay active, you want to stay busy. Is there benefits that us on the outside, when it comes to a short notice fight, are there some benefits that we don't really take into account? Like when you think of a short notice fight, what are the benefits that you see initially for you?
Well, as long as you're in halfway decent shape, there's a lot of benefits. I didn't take the day-to-day 2 and 3 times a day pounding on my body that he just went through. I feel really fresh and relaxed and like excited. Whereas sometimes when you get through a long camp, you're just trying to fucking get through it. You know, you're just trying to, like, fight weeks there, and you're like every day drags, and you just want the fight to be there and hurry up. Like, I'm not in that position mentally where I'm just wishing that it was over. You know, maybe that sounds like it's not that big of a deal, but it absolutely is. I think just mentally, I'm probably in a better place. Maybe not a better place than he is, but I'm in a great place. Just there's a lot of excitement for me and like anticipation and you know, my weight's good, but you know, if the weight thing is absolutely. I mean, he's been in camp, had to, you know, watching his diet, and I've only had to do it for 2 weeks. I think the stress too, just not thinking about it every day. You know, like he went from one opponent to another and just did that in his last fight. So he was fighting Dawkins, then it got pushed, then he's got to kind of cycle his training camp, and then he's got to fight Dawkins. Then he was ready for Azamat, which is a totally different style than I am. Azamat is a short, stocky southpaw that's really fast, and I'm none of those things. You know what I mean? I'm not short, I'm not stocky, I'm not a southpaw, and I'm not that fucking fast. So I only have to adjust to his style. I didn't have to change my training camp. You know what I mean? So I think there's some advantages.
And then when you look at your last opponent, Ryan Spann, another strong striker, tall, long limbs. Here you're getting another strong striker. Are there similarities between the two of them? And in a sense, was the last matchup tougher than this matchup for you due to a lot of people thought Spann had maybe some better submission skills?
Well, they do very different things. I think that in terms of like their killer instinct, I think that, especially going into the second fight, I think Khalil's going to be more willing to get into a firefight and engage, whereas Ryan Spann did that one time and it didn't work out, so he was a little more tentative the second time. To his credit, he made a lot of really good adjustments in that second fight, and I thought he fought really well. I thought Ryan Spann grew a lot in our second fight, just mentally. You know, Ryan hasn't always been known as the guy that can fight from behind and come back and swing the momentum the other direction, and he was really battling at that and trying to fight his way back into it. Which I don't know. I think that although it's a loss, I think he probably learned a lot about himself in our last fight. In terms of, yeah, I mean, it's another big scary black guy that hits hard. You know what I mean? It's they are very similar in that aspect as far as just their athleticism and their speed and the things that they can do. I don't suspect Khalil is going to be jumping submissions or looking to grapple. I hope so, but I don't see that happening. But yeah, there's definitely some similarities. I think power-wise, they're very similar.
And you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier about wanting to stay busy, but you're fighting backwards. Is this kind of a no-win situation? Because you're taking the risk of fighting the guy with a lower rank, or if you get a win regardless, does that matter?
The rankings are for people on Twitter and you guys. You know, like we don't really pay attention to that too much. And to be very honest, the UFC doesn't really pay that much attention to it either. Rankings are, it's like a marketing machine. You know, it's really easy to make people care about something more if there's numbers next to their names. But like the UFC they understand how tough of a position I put myself in, and how hard it is to come in on short notice and beat a guy like Khalil, and even harder like to look good doing it. So I think if you come in and you put yourself in these precarious positions and do hard things, I think you get rewarded for that. So I truly believe that the people on Twitter really care about the rankings, but us as fighters don't really think about it that much.
Last for me, I guess, your keys to the victory. What needs to happen to make sure you get your arms raised on Saturday?
Pressure. It's pressure. If you let Khalil Rountree sit back and be super comfortable and stand in the middle of the octagon and kind of dictate the range, you're going to have a long fucking night. It's going to be a real bad night. So you got to put pressure on him, not just physical, but mental. You got to make him work. You got to make him think. You got to put him in positions mentally and physically that he isn't expecting. There's nothing worse than ending up in a fight that's harder than you thought it was going to be. And I get it, man. I read what people say. I know what people are saying about me, that maybe he's done, maybe he should go hang out at the desk, maybe his better days are behind him. You can't be an opponent that's standing across from me and not hear it too. So is he mentally strong enough to ignore that and look at the tape and look at what I've done and how long I've been around and the things I'm capable of? And identify me as a real threat, or is it like, oh, this is the old guy that, he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out? Because if that's the mentality he has, it's going to be a really long night for him too.
Is that how you feel? I'm not on Twitter all that much. Is that what you feel? Are you feeling that's what a lot of people say about you out there? Are you coming in there with a chip on the shoulder a little bit to prove?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I listen, I get it. Like, sometimes I go in there and I have an off night. Like, sometimes I let guys sneak behind the wire sometimes. Like if it's not that I've never put the work in, or that I'm not always in training, or that I'm not physically prepared. Sometimes I think I take my eye off the ball. It's like, I think Johnny Walker is a great example of that. That I don't think I gave him not that I underestimated him, because I know how dangerous he was, but I think I just didn't think about him that much. I just went into practice and did my thing, and I left, and then I got all this, you know what I mean? I got a lot of stuff. So I just didn't think about him that much. And sometimes that happens to me where I'm just not as focused on the individual person. And the results show what they show. I get a little bit, I think if I'm indifferent to someone is when I get in trouble. Like, if I really like you or I really don't like you, then I think I have my best performances. But if I'm indifferent is when I get myself in trouble, and I don't know, I just lose focus a little bit. And Dan Hardy and Kenny Florian have been long saying that I'm the guy that gets in the middle of a fight, and if it's not crazy enough, I get bored and distracted. And I mean, I don't think that they're necessarily wrong. But Khalil's not that guy. You know what I mean? I think that's what's exciting about this one. Like, you can't take your eye off the ball with a guy like this. He'll take your head right off your shoulders, which is why I wanted this fight. Like, that's exciting for me. That fear factor, that real weird pit in your stomach right before you walk out, like, that's exciting for me.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Good. Thanks, guys.